What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Bitcoin today. It is the 25th day of August, and here we are at about $79,000 with roughly 10 hours left in the day, just a little bit less than 10 hours. Hit that like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here, and let's get into it. When we last talked about Bitcoin, we were effectively at this price, and I was talking about how I do believe this is the real deal as far as this pump goes. I don't believe this is the real deal. I do believe that this is just kind of a trap within this overall move and that we will be getting set up to go lower. Now, that doesn't mean that we're plummeting all the way back down and seeing lower lows. I'm not one of those guys, but I do believe that we're more or less going to be moving sideways and consolidating down, potentially back as low as something that's below 67K, 65K. We could see those levels. For now, my eyes are definitely set on that 70K, 72K area and potentially below. But if we look at this from a low, relative low there to a relative high, our 382 right there around 72K, golden ratio 66, 65K, somewhere in that zone. So those are the ultimate potential targets to go to. And I do think over the next month, probably throughout September, we're just going to be consolidating, working our way down there. That's the expectation that I have. I've got a little toddler. It's I love you. She's trying to show me things. She's so cute, man. Man, whenever they start to walk, they really love walking. They're so independent, so adventurous. Anyways, looking at the 1 hour time frame. Let's zoom in. Actually, I'm sorry. I'm not done with my introduction yet. So yesterday we were bearish here, and then we continued to move up. And literally at $80,600, I doubled down on my bearishness. I'm so confident that this is not going to persist higher, that we're not seeing more of what we saw last week, that on X at $80,600, I'm sorry, effectively right at the top here, I said short the Ponzi because I do believe that we're going down. And while we've moved down so far, I think we'll continue to move lower. And again, I've already given you my targets. So let's go over the 1 hour time frame. Let's see what's going on here. What made me really confident up here that we were going to move lower is that we had a little bit of volume come in, but it was alone. It was by itself. I want to say it was the second hour that I made that post. I can't remember when. It was one of these 2 hours that I made that post, and the volume just didn't take us anywhere. There was no continuation there. It wasn't an increase in volume. It didn't really seem like a breakout. It just seemed kind of like a fake out, a false setup. And then here we had a little bit of bearish divergence on the 1 hour RSI. We'd been overbought. We already saw this kind of uptrend taking place. We were in the overbought zone, so it seemed appropriate to guess that we would come down. We don't need to wait for bearish divergence. There's not always bearish divergence when you top off. Sometimes there is, sometimes there isn't. You look at the stochastics, overbought, coming down, bearish. You've reset. Hold on. You've reset, and you do have a kind of bullish posturing right now. Let's see how you do with that. MACD's still bullish technically, and you are near a zone where it makes sense to bounce. We might, for the beginning hours after this video, we might see a little bit of a pullback to about $80,000. I don't expect this move down to be the same way as it was on the way up, right? We're very primed right now mentally to think that this is how Bitcoin moves. So it's going to, like this is the pace that we move at, but really this is the pace that we move at, right? What we saw last week, this was an extreme example of speed. We're probably not going to, this happens every so often, but it's not how Bitcoin typically behaves. So my expectation is, yes, we are going to move down, but in that moving down, it's going to be a slow, long battle. We're going to be moving up and down, and we're probably still going to be at the same price area come Thursday or Friday, maybe just a little bit lower. And then by the time everybody gets on board with the idea that it's going to go lower, at that point in time, that's whenever the low's in, and then we move up again, and we break out of that structure, but we're not actually going higher. We're just moving sideways. I think we're going to move sideways genuinely until most of September is completed. If we start moving up again, I would think that really happens in the second half of September, not the first half, personally. But I could be wrong. It's just part of the narrative that I painted in my head. It could be wrong. We broke out of the uptrend in the RSI on the 1 hour. Stochastics, again, they've been very bullish, but, and they've reset here. But let's just see how we do coming up here. Let's look at the 4 hour time frame. 4 hour, no bearish divergence, but whenever we did get back into this overbought zone, it certainly was a weaker result. Out of all three of these instances here, and here, getting into the overbought zone, this was the weakest result. And the RSI, whenever you start to see it waning like this, that's not a good sign. So again, I don't think that we're going to drop quick from here, But if we do come back up and we touch that overbought zone, but we reject it, perhaps then look for a quick shift down. Just because it's a quick shift down doesn't mean that it's going to persist that way. Again, I don't think we're moving up and down like this. If we do move down fast, man, if it comes back down like this, that's going to be a problem. This might have just been an overall trap. I don't expect that to be the case. I expect it to be, again, low and slow like it was before. The stochastics here do look bearish, right? Here, you had no problem getting overbought, staying in the overbought zone. Here, you're trying to get back in there, and it's just not the same result. So here, the 4-hour stochastics take on a bit of a bearish shape. And the MACD, to me, is also taking on bearish structure. You are in the overall bullish kind of areas of control with your oscillators being above the zero and just being so strong here. But your oscillators came close to crossing, and then they rejected from each other, and they started to diverge. So that, to me, just makes me think that that we are going to see some added bearish momentum today, and we probably do push lower. We probably do, at the very least, get below 78K today. But again, the 1-hour time frame is contradicting that. It's saying we might move up a little bit. So let's just see how we do in the coming hours. If we get back above this high and some volume comes in, it's completely possible that we do keep pushing higher, but I'm just not in that camp of belief personally. I mean, you look at the daily time frame, that candle does look pretty menacing. We're already halfway through the day, more than halfway through the day. Looks pretty menacing for a top. What do they call it? They call it a shooting star, a gravestone doji, whatever it is, inverse cross. Finding resistance where we found resistance before. Finding a resistance where we found support before. I mean, it makes sense to me that we would find resistance here. It makes a lot of sense, actually. So daily time frame indicators. We've been overbought now for, about a week. Great. Saw a high of 91. Come down. Time to chill. A little bit of bearish divergence. Just a little bit, but come down. Time to chill. Stochastics have been overbought for a little while. Great. Looks great. Rejecting the oversold zone. Come down. Chill. Again, on the daily time frame, I'm not expecting anything catastrophic. I'm just expecting a little reset, a little consolidation, and then we can move back up. Maybe find some support at prior resistance, maybe as low as 67, 65K. I'm a lot less confident now at these prices that we return to prices that are below 65K or even around 65K. I'm a lot less confident now than I was before. I think a lot of people are going to are right now thinking in their heads that we are going to go back to this price. We're going to go back here and we're going to find support there, and then we'll move up. That's going to be your second chance at romance for Bitcoin in this bull market. Which, again, I don't know if we've started the bull market yet or not, but that's just the thought. That's going to be the mentality. I don't think we get that low. Instead, I wouldn't be surprised if we found support instead of this prior resistance, but we found support at these prior points of resistance here, perhaps at 71K, where there's resistance, a little bit of resistance there, support. We go back in time. There's some, support just a little bit above there, right there, resistance right there in the zone. I'm going to delete this line. Levels of significance there, resistance. This is a pretty significant zone last cycle for the bull cycle. It might be a significant zone this cycle for setting up for the bull cycle. Something below 75K and perhaps above 70K. That might be all we get. That might be the lowest that we get. I'm genuinely starting to believe that we don't go down to this area, but if we do, that's fine. Again, I don't expect it to be a quick drop. I think it'll take time, and it'll probably be late September, if not early October, that we see this consolidation phase come to an end. We're going to be boring here for a second, and then we'll probably kick off to our next run. I don't think it'll be like this. We'll probably just run up above these highs and then again set ourselves up for consolidation again. I think we're going to be in this range, this overall range here. Let's delete this. This overall range here. I think we're going to be in this range for the rest of the year. But I can be wrong. I'm open to being wrong. And again, the rest of the year, there's a few months left in this year. A lot can happen. I might be saying different things by the end of October than I am now. There's more than a few months left. There's 4 months left in this year. A third of a year left. Anyways, I hope I've given you some things to think about. I do believe we're moving lower one way or another. Looking at these short to long positions. She's such a happy baby. She knows she's not supposed to come over here. So she's she thinks that she's being naughty. She thinks she's being silly. It's like a game for her. She's funny. Oh man. Let's see. 30 days. Is that right? We've added on some shorts here. 7-day time frame. Yeah, shorts are decimated compared to longs, but still, the fact that we've got you guys, in the last week, we've got $2 billion in shorts added on. And I mean, we're up here. That's brave, man. That's really brave. $2 billion in shorts up here. I mean, if we keep shorting as this thing moves up, it can keep moving up. But again, I do think that the momentum's dying. It's just, this is less positive for the bears than I thought it would be. You know, I can't believe there's that many shorts, $2 billion. But there are, in defense of that, there are a lot more longs. See, like over the past 24 hours, we put on a lot of shorts here. Maybe that's because they know something. Anyways, enough of that. I don't think there's anything left to talk about, really. You know, we can go over, for anybody who's doubting that the bear market's over, let's just slap some sense into you. First and foremost, go back and look at any bear market that's ever existed, okay? And then look to see if you can find a 23% move up. Well, that's not necessarily fair because here we did see some dramatic moves up. We really did over here. These are earlier days, kind of a crazier cycle. It was a little bit different. Instead of a full-blown bear market, we had like a giant consolidation triangle and then just a giant move down out of that. But typically, you know, our last two bear cycles, we haven't seen movements like this. And then on top of that, you look at the weekly RSI. Look at the weekly RSI here. You know, every single cycle that we've had, and maybe take off the Binance chart, we go to the index. You know, you can see here very clearly defined downtrends in the RSI. I don't even need to look at the price. We're going to do this first and then just go over it. Ready? I can do this without the price because it's so clear. Downtrend here, and then you finally broke out of that downtrend basically right here. We'll say on this move, though. We'll say on this move you broke out of the downtrend because that's definite, right? You've got these lower highs here. You definitely broke through it on this one, so let's just do that right there. Boom. Okay. Broke through it there, right? Lower highs, broke through it here. For sure you did, somewhere like right around there. Lower highs, broke through it here. For sure you did, and lower highs here. And then you didn't break through it on this one, but you broke through it on this one right here, so we're going to put it there. And look at how evenly spaced that is, right? Like without even trying, it's just so evenly spaced. Then we go back, we look at the price action, and it's not going to be perfect, but you're going to see more or less. Again, end of the bear market, end of the bear market, end of the bear market, end of the bear market. And if you believe in 4-year cycles like I do, they're evenly spaced. It all makes sense, man. It all makes sense. This one, I don't think was a bear market, and there is still debate. I think there hasn't been a lot of talk about this, but I'm sure there will be over the coming years, especially as this cycle begins to develop. I think there's going to be a lot of technical analysts, myself included, who are going to talk about the real possibility that this was actually never a bear cycle. This was never a bear market. It's just a corrective phase in what is an overall larger super cycle. And if that's true, in theory then, we should see the first bull cycle ever in Bitcoin's history that is larger than the prior bull cycle. We tried to call for that last cycle. It didn't work out. It was actually a very lackluster cycle. But I think we're going to look back at it and say, oh my God, this is actually all part of the same super cycle. This is the institutional involvement cycle and mainstream adoption. We'll see. We'll see. Anyways, I got nothing else for you guys. I'm just rambling at this point. Lots to think about and talk about. Hit that like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. Of course, we're not effectively in a bull market officially until we have a higher high and a higher low, which we do not have either at the moment. We might be getting set up to go form our higher low, and then from there getting set up for our higher high. But again, I think for the rest of this year, the remainder of this year, we're just going to be in this zone. We're not breaking above 100K. We're not seeing new all-time highs probably until 2027, or new all-time highs might even be 2028. Take care. See you on the next one. Bye.